I am an ex-employee of the recently defunct cryptocurrency platform out of Vancouver, BC, Einstein Exchange. I worked there for a total of 4 months, starting in December of 2017, which is when they first incorporated, and back then things were looking up. The crypto industry was booming, they were signing up more customers than they could count, and they were moving into a larger, better, bigger new downtown office, and there was a general sense of excitement and opportunity in the air. But more than that, it felt like they were trying to build something truly unique, a high-touch crypto exchange where you could walk in and transact in person and interact with the teller as you would in your local bank branch. There was a lot of talk about transparency and community, and joining the company at that point had a real significance to it. Even back then though, the exchange was getting a bad rap on social media, with customers complaining and even threatening litigation. Mostly it was because of delays in processing of deposits and withdrawals, sometimes by weeks, which was a big deal because when cryptos were on a tear, fortunes could be made or lost within a matter of days, if not hours. So a week delay meant a lot. And even though these delays must have looked suspicious from the outside, having been on the inside, it was a problem of mismanaged growth rather than deliberate attempt to skim off the top, cheat, or steal. There was simply not enough manpower to get everything done on time, and automated procedures have not been put in place yet. At one point they had to actually stop accepting new customers. Some would say too little too late. All this turmoil attracted the attention of the press, and there was a TV segment and a few articles written covering the company. Mostly they came out neutral, showing both sides of the story, and after customer backlogs were cleared up, clients' concerns were largely assuaged, at least for the time being. But there was a different group that took an interest in the exchange. Enter the fraudsters. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, from ordinary folks reneging on their credit card purchases just to see if they can, to full-on identity thieves and check forgers walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of crypto. I think it's when I saw one of these forged checks for $300,000 that I realized that it's probably not the private investors' money that are covering these losses. It is ultimately customers who will have to foot the bill for these cyber heists. And in hindsight, footed they certainly have. Fast forward to late October of 2019. Social media is once again blowing up with complaints of customers unable to get their money out. The once all-welcoming office has a notice on it stating that customers can only come in by appointment, and nobody is picking up the phones. A week later, the exchange is seized by authorities and it looks like all of the funds are gone. What happened? During my time working there, I can't say that I've seen any verifiable evidence of wrongdoing, but what I've seen plenty of was mismanagement bordering on negligence. Mismanagement of growth, mismanagement of risk, mismanagement of communications, and it started to build a bad taste in my mouth, which is why I ended up leaving after only 4 months on the job. In fairness, I have to say that I have been treated well there, and I don't harbor any ill will towards the founders, which is likely not how most of the customers feel at this point. By the way, full disclosure, I actually had some funds sitting at the exchange when it shut down. I believe it was about $200 worth of crypto, which was a Christmas present issued by the company to its employees. A sweet gesture, no doubt, one that rings hollow in retrospect. So I may not have lost millions like some, but I too was somewhat blindsided by this development. I see speculation online that maybe this was an exit scam or some other form of skullduggery, but I don't think that ruining your entire reputation for a meager 12 million bucks is a very good exit scam. Besides, if they simply kept burning cash at the same rate I witnessed in my first 4 months there, they probably just ran out of funds. And the really lousy thing is that nobody is getting anything back. I don't believe the deposits were insured. The company assets, as of today, cover less than a fraction of a percent of the funds owed to their customers. And unless the investigation finds actionable evidence of negligence, there are no other avenues for recovering funds. Mismanagement in business is a slippery thing though, because Tech startups are presumptive by their nature, and you almost have to overpromise in order to get anything off the ground. But you also can't divorce yourself from reality completely. Eventually, it will catch up to you, and when it does, things can get ugly. The reality in this case being the preponderance and ingenuity of fraudsters who were ripping off the company, the lack of oversight which ultimately allowed management to dip into customer funds to cover expenses, which ought never have happened, the competitive landscape which was quite unfavorable, the lack of strong financial backing, and so forth. I suppose in a way this story is synonymous with that of WeWork, a loss-making company with a growth at all costs mentality and a charismatic leader with a history of bad governance. The difference being that with Einstein Exchange, there was no wealthy benefactor ready to bail it out when it reached the end of its financial runway, or rather, it had thousands of unwitting benefactors who, when the dust settled, were left empty-handed and distraught. So, if there is any moral to this story, it's read your terms of service, keep your coins in hardware wallets, and don't invest anything you can't afford to lose. Seriously though, I hope that anyone affected by this is able to shake it off, and don't let this bad experience leave you cynical. There is good stuff out there. Seek it out and be well.